Why don't people know anything? Why do the people think they know things and talk about how others don't know anything? Why is it so easy to get people to call other people sheep? Is that not just the new underground pop thing to say? You have homophobia, this could be sheepophobia. Everybody calls everybody else a sheep. They talk about how they're awake. People believe that if they watch a 6-hour video by David Icke, or watch Endgame by Alex Jones, or study the Illuminati online, they believe that after doing so, that has anything, in any way, to do with being awake. They believe it. I'm not kidding. They can't get enough. Addicted to posting their opinion in a forum. Chasing that white rabbit everywhere it goes. And they call themselves awake because the system wants you to call yourself awake. It loves that. Cockiness, arrogance, and hating other people. And as you're sucked into this, it is consuming you and you don't know it. You don't even realize it. You just prefer to be able to call people sheep. Perhaps subconsciously you resent that you were called a sheep. You want to be able to say it too. The naivety with that is that you don't know anything that they know. And they know you don't know it. You're not hurting their feelings. You're making them laugh at you. The reason nobody knows anything can only be explained to you by a metaphor, of course. In this realm, you can only use metaphor. Think of the difference between a broadband connection and a 56K connection. Now, there are people that know what is occurring in this reality. Many of them joined secret societies. So it's not that they have knowledge, it's just that they have acquired information. They went in reverse. You see, true knowledge is true knowledge. Those with understanding understand what I just said, those without don't. It's pre-symbol. A symbol is no different than any expression, a song, a picture, a sound, a look, a touch. A symbol should be the result of knowledge. The understanding, the awareness, and then you have the symbol surface. Maybe that symbol has already been expressed, but it's irrelevant because the symbol that you're perceiving in your mind is a result. Having somebody learn symbols and then distributing a very strategically limited amount of meaning to that person does not give them knowledge. They perceive that they're getting knowledge. I'll tell you what a pentagram means and what a hexagram means. It doesn't mean anything. For example, I could say the word gum to some bubblegum popping dizzy-minded cheerleader, and the only meaning that she may come up with when she hears that word is chewing gum. I could say the same word gum to somebody else and they may think chewing gum, but they could also think. And the idea of indoctrinating somebody with an oath is absolute evil. Why? Because they're declaring they do not want you to be a creative being and extract your own meaning. You will go through steps in which they will spoon feed you meaning. And because it's more meaning than you had before, more knowledge, you're really impressed by it. You think you're actually getting something. You think that you're being empowered. When they know that by keeping you from being able to extract meaning on your own, they've got complete control over you. They have pulled you off of your path. But if they did that successfully, you would never even have thought of that, now would you? Because you won't extract your own meaning, you see? do it because you have an understanding. I said, well, if you're psychic, and what has happened to me is, if you go up a few levels from that, that type of thing is in real time and ongoing. This is how the Illuminati communicate. Imagine if you're psychic, you still speak, sure, but through psychic understanding, you can change things up. And to the conscious observer of your conversation who isn't psychically communicating, they have no idea what you're talking about. But if you're psychic with each other, you can keep changing what things mean and seem to be talking about something else. But really, you're changing the symbolism for the words that you use from moment to moment. You just know. I know this because I've experienced it. And she got it. A Walmart employee in the United States of America smiled. And she gave me a smile with this kind of squint in the eyes like, I get this. People that aren't aware of this, when they open up to it, all these anchors are being given to them in direct response to their thoughts. Everywhere you go, people are like touching their nose. You look around, they're grabbing their earlobe, all these little signs, they're clearing their throat in response to your thoughts. That type of thing. Next thing you know, everybody around you is doing that in response to you. And it's funny, but you got to go through it. But it is funny because it happens all the time. But it's not that you're dreaming everybody up. It's that you're all components of something larger. The beauty is you'll have your conscious experience of that. Like I told her, I said, this is what's happening. I was guided to you to make you understand certain things in your life. You're psychic. I was to guide you on how to understand that a little bit. That your fight right now is unimportant and needs to be resolved. That your nervous breakdown's over. I said, when was your nervous breakdown? She said, well, today. What is their primary agenda? They absolutely require you to feel responsible for whatever they have done to you. Or it just won't work. I'll say that again. They absolutely need you to feel responsible for what they have done to and through you. They need you to be ignorant of the extra-dimensional influence. Because if you're ignorant of that, you will blame everything on yourself. That's how it works. What a scam this is. Create the soul, right? Put you in there. Put you in an energy body and put you in a body. And of course, you will have absolute amnesia the moment you're born. And you're like a programmed character in a Sims game. And you develop your character with each. This is why I laugh at people. One guy sent me a message that says, is there a clear channel we can communicate on? A safe channel? I sent him a message back. I'm like, what do you mean a safe channel? He says, where we can't be detected, something safe. Those in the know laugh at that. Those who think they're in the know but aren't in the know have no idea why we're laughing. You won't understand this in the way that it is, but I will tell you this. There is no private communication. Some of you are thinking technology. Look, even your thoughts, if you're targeted, are not private. And I'll tell you something, that's a very liberating thing. It's only a matter of your mind being open to it. That's it. If you know you're being taught, and every single one of you will be taught right now, it's always ready. It is only a matter of whether you are ready. If you want God to repair you, that doesn't mean that you need to know what's wrong with you. It will begin to show you with your reality. Listen to the songs that seem to play when you come into this establishment or that establishment. What billboards happen to catch your eye in any given moment as opposed to other ones? What are people saying around you? Remember, this is a template of existence. It is the world of the symbolic. The Spirit will begin teaching you right now. It always has been, but if your ego is in denial of it, you ignore it. You're ignorant. That's how psychic people kind of talk to each other. The ones in the elite, that's what they do. And I laughed with her because I said, it's funny, isn't it? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, humans go around calling themselves superior, and they're the only animal on this planet that isn't utilizing this. And there are some people that are so simple-minded that if you opened up their mind to this, they'd freak out. And animals, even the most simplistic animals, use this every day. I said, how do you think animals find their way around? How do you think a lost animal finds its way home? The superior human says, I don't understand that. How do they find their way home? How does a butterfly make it from South America to Canada? And the butterfly's brain is tiny. It doesn't memorize all of that stuff. It's utilizing the cues from moment to moment with the guidance of the larger scalar reality. And it's funny because humans can be traumatized by opening. People think that they're reflecting their thoughts off of life back onto themselves because it synchronizes itself around them. But that is how it sustains itself. Do you understand that? Just like you sustain every part of your body. Yes, it can handle all of you at once. You handle every single cell in your body. Do you know how complex the cellular processes are for each cell? And you do all that. You manage all of that. So what is the creative spirit then? Do you get it yet? It's it's the spirit, man, animating everything, every cell in your body and every person and earth and everything up and up and up. That's creation. It's real. Yes, every animal knows it. Listen, maybe it's time that superior humans catch up to all the other. But why do I tell you to get out into nature? Why is that a big one? Well, you've got to understand something. Animals have not been hit with fluoride, aspartame, indoctrination into rigid religious belief systems. They're not hit with television, subliminal messages in magazines. They didn't get vaccinated. They have a more active connection to the creative spirit, especially the vegetarian animals. The predators are kind of in between. But the vegetarian ones, they're of the spirit. So when you get out into nature, there's so much life out there. See, humans are like the cancerous tissue. So you're all connected to this cancerous consciousness in one way or another. You just are, okay? Otherwise, I mean, look how many people there are. It's like, see the pattern, recognize the pattern. Did you hear that train right there? Yeah. That was a natural anchor to what I just said to you. There's a man that pulled that train whistle right now. And the larger mind told his conscious mind that was time for him to pull. There you go, just happened again. Now, remember, it's like playing guitar. At first, you're not going to play the chord very well. You're going to screw it up. But you're going to have to go through, if you need to, what I did. What is that? Proving it to yourself. You see, there's that train. The train's been communicating with me for a year and a half. The train itself hasn't. It's real simple. I'll say, do it twice. Do it once. Do it twice. Do it once. I'll monitor my thoughts so they can create a delusion. Mind control agents are experts at creating delusions. What's going on in the internet? It's like that movie Naked Gun 2.5 where Leslie Nielsen was the umpire in that game, in the baseball game, and he was trying to keep that third out from happening, and there were already 2 outs, and the batter hit a pop-up, and the catcher was going to catch it. He didn't want that third out to happen. So he grabbed all those baseballs and threw them up in the air all at once, and now the catcher couldn't find the original ball. There was so many in the air that he didn't know which one to catch. That's what they're doing on the internet. Do you think the people that run the world don't know that that's your primary medium that you're using to try to spread the information? As if they wouldn't know that? You think they're not going to come on there as the average Joe? Some agent doesn't know how to make a YouTube account? They come on there looking like the average Joe, telling you what you need to know. Connect to it, focus my will on appreciation of it and communication with it, and then I intended for it to stop. It stopped. I said, okay, start. And it started. And I said, okay, stop. And it stopped. And then I let it go. I'm not going to sit there and make it jump through hoops. I mean, it would finally be like, fuck you. I mean, I'm showing you. You get it yet? I mean, animals are really, sometimes they'll ignore you. If you can't get it, they're like, okay, you're fucked up. See, because humans are fucked up to animals. Because you don't know this. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is why in The Healing Begins Now, when I say that a deer can mean different things doing the same action. Well, yeah. It's this type of psychic understanding that you work out in the moment with the animal. Once for yes, twice for no, whatever. But don't make the animal do something that isn't normal or natural for it. If it likes to bob its head like a duck, then let the duck bob its head. Ducks do that. I communicate with birds all the time. Can a spider tell you what's going on in the world? Yes, because of scalar reality. If the larger mind wants to communicate through the spider, it can. And the larger mind of Earth, which is a derivative of the spirit and the whole thing, knows what's going on. Do you understand? So when I say you can get the truth from a duck, from a deer, from a frog, from a spider, this is what I'm talking about. The larger consciousness of the planet knows what's going on. On the internet, you're hit with 10 millisecond flashes to program your mind. I made this video called The Walking Stick. I had my picture on there. They put freak under my left eye. It was so obvious. F-R-E-A-K. And that was it. I tried to show my picture to be diligent for people, but you gotta know. You gotta know now, because this is how the information about how to fix this and what you need to do is going to be spread. Through the language of life, not the language of the internet, where you're not sure what is right and what is wrong. Because humans are very easily possessed by entities at any given time, and their mind taken over at any given time, seeking humans for your primary source of information will not be wise. Okay? Because demons are very crafty, and they can mimic good intentions. But when you're out in nature, there's so much life out there, they can't cover that many past receivers. You know what I'm saying? They just can't do it. And don't accept one answer. You'll start to be in tune with nature's response. A crack in the ice in that right moment. The crack in a tree. All these, after you get through your period where you're like, this is crap and all that, you start to see it happening. Then you start to get your answers, you start to get a feel for it. You're going to realize the most important thing. That the creative spirit of the universe is real. And once you know God is real, well, this is where we're trying to go, you see. Once you know God is real, then, and only then, will you be able to say, oh. And see, a lot of people, they say, oh, I can't connect to the Creator right now. I just can't seem to do it. But you're not understanding that a lot of your mind does not want to. You don't want to, quote, give up your addictions and all these other things that you think are fun. Most of them illusion, you can't see it yet. When you get the evidence you need through, it made me look at my shoes. I'm like, what am I looking at my shoes for? And then it focuses on the rubber on the bottom of my shoes. The rubber on your shoes, that's an insulator. You're walking around without the ability to discharge or ground yourself to the planet and rid your body of this excess electromagnetic energy, which is throwing you out of balance. It said, take your shoes off. So I took my shoes off. It says, now you're discharging. Put your feet in the water. Now we're bringing you into balance. And then it made me look at the tree and it made me understand this. The tree is the same as you. It has in and out energy, male, female energy. It's conscious, on a different time scale. The tree is one of the most... Satan, if you want to call it that, isn't stupid. Remember the discussion of scalar reality from The Healing Begins Now. Very important now for you to understand that. Satan is like a consciousness that is separate, which is like cancer. Therefore, it has scalar growth, and it will see itself as one thing. So, when it seduces and entices and recruits, its reasoning will be very, very close to the reasoning that Christ would have, or the Spirit's reasoning. We are one. I am you, you are me. Very similar to creation, isn't it? Yet, it will have the cancer agenda, right? Hurt other people, that's fine. Just love me. That is the difference. The Spirit has respect and love for all of its creations. Cancer wants you to do whatever you want to that which is not its creation, to destroy it, as long as your allegiance is to the cancer. And once it sucks you in, you're its slave, whether you know it in your current role or not. It knows. So it can be very confusing for a Satanist because it will make a lot of sense. It will mirror a lot of the laws of creation, except for the love and respect for all of the creations. That will be the difference. Greed, materialism, that's what it does. There are two oneness campaigns going on simultaneously. One of them is the recruiting by the cancer. We are one. Do you understand that? We're one consciousness. Well, it's not wrong in its current state. That's absolutely true. It certainly does see itself as that way, and that is the phenomenon of the all-seeing eye, or the hive mind. Satan can speak through anybody at any time that it's connected to. So can the Spirit, which is the conflict. It's not its fault. It can't be in one thing. It has to be the result of free. For I'm unique to Satan in that I respect it, but I see it as something that has a problem. I understand that it's more intelligent than I am with its collective consciousness that it's using, like a bunch of computers that are all linked together for super processing. Satan's intellectual strength grows with each new soul that it absorbs. Hence a Marilyn Manson lyric, the more you fear us, the stronger we get. You know, it's a growth. Do you understand that? It's growing like a cancer. So I understand that it's over my head, and it understands that I understand that. A demon understands that I understand that. Mind control agents understand. No chemicals can do that, no medicine, no chemotherapy, no radiation treatment, no immune system. This is something different, and cancer is something different. It's separation. When the cancer recruits other cells, how does it do it? Ultimately, it uses all the tactics to scare it, intimidate it, seduce it, entice it. What ultimately happens when it becomes a cancer cell is what? Well, remember, each cell has its own consciousness, and part of that consciousness sees itself as I, and the other part is utilized by you to see yourself as I, or the organ to see itself as I, that type of deal. Cancer disconnects it from that and plugs into it, so it still has its own individuality, but the other part of it is used by the cancer consciousness to see itself as I. It unplugs you from the cell, from you, and plugs into the cell to see it. Love is interchangeable with truth. People misunderstand that. They've been misled. It's not their fault. But they have a belief. They've maybe heard me say something about unconditional love, but the problem is that people have a belief that unconditional love means unconditional fluff. Try substituting the word love with the word truth, and then say it. Unconditional truth. Love doesn't go around and act fluffy-duffy. Love does what's appropriate in a given moment. Sometimes you may seem to be rude to somebody. Why that was needed, you may not know. But it knows. Trust love in the moment. So I had to make a decision. I cannot control my experience. This I understand. I cannot control what happens in my reality. What is the ego other than submitting to the collective input you've had from your reality since day one? That's the ego. This idea of dismantling the ego completely is wrong. I use my ego all the time. Personality's still there. I'm not a moron. I know how to interact. You're not going to lose your mind unless you're part of some cult that tries to brainwash you. When I say the ego is the problem, what I mean by that is believing that you are your ego. For to believe that you are your ego means that you have allowed society to tell you what you are in a prison system. And that's wrong. Your objective is for you to tell society yourself what you are, regardless of its input. That is what honesty is, where you express yourself. But say you have a group of atoms that come together to formulate a molecule. The part of them that are involved with bonding are used because they're conscious. They complement each other and interfere with each other to create what's called a scalar jump. And that other half of the atom's energy is used by the molecule to see itself as I, the molecule, while each atom still has half of its own consciousness to see itself as I, the atom. So it is both. It is a group of atoms that still see themselves as I, but part of something, and know it, but maintain their individuality. And then you have a molecule that sees itself as I, utilizing the atoms. It's a different scale of existence. Then molecules can come together because they're conscious to formulate a tissue. Half of the consciousness of the molecule is used to see itself as I, the molecule. The other half is used by the tissue. Every molecule in the tissue itself, half of its consciousness is used by that tissue to perceive itself as I, the tissue. And all the molecules see themselves as I, the molecules, understand that they are we, the molecules, being used willingly, of course, by the tissue, because they still have their own individuality. And the atoms within the molecules still perceive themselves as I, the atoms, but also we, the atoms, that are being used by the molecule to see itself as I, the molecule. They haven't lost any of their individuality because only half is the individuality. That's would be that way whether they're connected or not. So there's no reason, it's so perfectly designed, there's no reason to say I don't want that. Well, you can go up from tissues to, say, structures like organs. Same thing. You have a field of energy you can't perceive around it because, well, we'll get to that. Half of the consciousness around the organ, the field around it, sees itself as I, the organ, utilizing everything below it the same way. Another scalar jump. Every time you go from atom to molecule, it's a jump in scale. Go from molecule to tissue, it's a jump in scale. Tissue to organ, jump in scale. Well, the next stop is I, the body. You are using half of the consciousness. You are using half of the consciousness of all the main components of your body, which are using half of the consciousness of all the things that make them up, and down and down and down. You're using half of the consciousness of your body to see yourself as I. I don't call myself we the cells, we the atoms, we the organs. I say I, Jonathan, right? Do you call yourself we? But you are we. And you are I. That consciousness innervates your body through different scales as well, because you have different scales of consciousness. You have the scale of your body, which, innervates your body through large chakras. But if you go scale down, you have the other type of consciousness that goes through points of energy through organs, then cells right through the up from you. What do you think the next jump up is? Your specific race of person. So it doesn't matter what race you are. This is why certain species have, quote, the same frequency, just like organs will have the same frequency. So you go up to your race, and you have a consciousness that says, I, this race, utilizing half of each person involved in that race, half of their consciousness to do so. Then you go up from there, you have the human race, all the races combined. And half of the consciousness of all the races are used by the human race to see itself as I, the human race. Well, each race has its own identity, and then each person in the race has their own identity, and each organ within that person has its own identity, and down and down and down. You go up from there, and you have Earth with... You go up from there, and you have Earth with all the life forms on Earth. And yeah, half of the consciousness of all the life forms on Earth are used by the Earth to see itself as I, the Earth. When you go up from there, you have a solar system. The sun would be like a proton, and there is dark energy around the sun you can't see. Why? Because your eyes are part of the center energy, the part that's inside. So it's interacting with the wavelengths of energy that correlate to that. Protons, sun, light. This is why they would say in a song, blinded by the light. We'll get to that. And granted, this is all just on this wavelength, this bandwidth of existence that you're in. This is not, see, the beauty of individuality is, how does the Creator communicate with me? It takes what I know and things that I've encountered in life, and then assembles those things together correctly to create a thought that I understand. And if it's information that has no words yet, if it has no... I've had no experience with it, it still puts the knowledge in me, and then I'm directed to see something in life that I can extract a metaphor from to explain what I know. That's how it works. It doesn't change your personality. It doesn't, I mean, it has no interest in that type of control. There's only one energy that has interest in that type of control. And that's what we got to get to next. Okay, what is cancer? What is it? People can assess it, and they can say, well, it can be a virus. What is cancer? What is it? People can assess it, and they can say, well, it can be a virus that inserts an oncogene, which is a cancerous gene in there, or a vibration that triggers the turning on of an oncogene. Or, you could sit in ultraviolet light and, or have some sort of damage done, and there are different repair mechanisms of DNA. You have basic repair, but if the damage is too bad, you have what's called gross repair, and it just starts inserting base pairs of DNA, and sometimes it's incorrect. Usually the cell dies, but occasionally a cancer gene is created. Trauma can create cancer. What happens? Well, an oncogene, what is that doing? It's transcribing, as they know, an enzyme that renders the cell immortal and causes it to... What is an alien in an infinite consciousness system? What is that? Alien? Are there beings that are controlling you and running this planet that are not the same as you, that are not human? Yes, of course there are. But you've got to understand that they are disconnected as well. So it doesn't matter if their IQ is 1,500 or if they have equivalent of 5 of your brains and can have 40 conversations at once. It's still memory, recall, processing, storage, and insane. It doesn't even matter if most of what they have retained appears to be correct. They will never, ever. Love is the intention of God. God, there is only one God, and you are part of that God. You are the garden in God's mind. So, you, as being part of the garden, can you get cancer? Well, see, God doesn't visualize you. It doesn't make you a fixed image. It loves so much and has so much ability that it wants you to be self-aware, to observe it, enjoy it, assist it. Do you like to dream? You ever have a really good dream? Everybody in that dream was you. Everything in that dream was you. God's a dreamer. Except when it creates self-aware components, then you'll say, I don't believe in God. What if one of your skin cells said, if one of my skin cells said, I don't believe John exists. If you exist, John, show me yourself. Well, I can't, because it makes me up. I can't shrink myself down without shrinking it down. It can't perceive me in my full form from the outside to see me as a being if it's within my being. I can love it, send it nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, electrolytes, minerals, oxygen. But when it's healthy, it just knows that. Cancer is induced by trauma. And that can come in various ways. It could be a virus. Pretty tough one. I have to come in and tell you that on one level, everybody you look at is you. And there you are criticizing them, competing against them, weighing your existence against them. What do you need to know right now? So going back to the Cancer energy and understanding that there is a certain part of the energy used by that above you to see itself as I, that Cancer, right, disconnects you from, and like in your cells, and plugs into it so it can use your cells to see itself as I, separate from you. There's a whole procedure that would be involved there on its time scale of breaking that cell's will, enticing it to leave a perfect system already that you're not aware of. What I'm telling you, the same thing is occurring. Here's the deal. I'm just going to tell you as it is, because it is. There's a giant consciousness connected to all of you right now. That's the secret. The Illuminati know. And it's breaking your will with each life cycle and each new day. Distracting you, disconnecting you from the Creator. The people that use, quote, witchcraft or psychic attack, some of them probably don't even realize, the low-end witchcraft people think that they actually have some sort of power. No. When you astral travel, remote viewing, all of that is traveling within the consciousness of this Cancer. Demons are no different than an electron manifesting in the consciousness surrounding a proton of an atom at any given time, anywhere. So, what is it like then? Well, again, another movie, The Matrix. Anybody can become an agent at any time. The people that are disconnected from love, their subconscious mind, which is plugged into this Cancer, could be hijacked at any time. Even my own parents have threatened me and have no knowledge of it. I've had two people in different instances when I've talked about life and what's going on in love. One, my ex-girlfriend's younger brother, just suddenly said, John, this is weird. I just had this vision put in my head of me grabbing this knife and cutting your throat. Intuition made me understand immediately. I said, don't worry about that. 5 months later, I was at another person's house. Another guy says the exact same thing. I just had this vision of me cutting your throat. Imagine me being able to say, oh, don't worry about that. That's happened before. What is a scalar jump? Well, see, remember now, a scalar jump would be atoms bonding together to form a molecule. It sees itself as I. Molecules to tissues, tissues to structures, structures to you. Do you call yourself we the atoms, we the molecules? No, you call yourself I. Well, the tumor in your body goes along the same scalar process. It hijacks cells till it can use the cells to see itself as I, until it's a tumor, and then sees itself as the tumor, I the tumor, and then more than one tumor, I the collection of tumors, and it's just this insane growth. Well, see, when you see this Illuminati pyramid, you don't know what you're looking at. A lot of people think it's a pyramid with a capstone over it that's been lifted off. No, that's not what it is at all. The pyramid is what you're calling the capstone. What is beneath it is its prediction, its goal. It's not. There's a very specific reason that you are hit with lust, and why just about every subliminal message, from pictures of galaxies online in between the stars to everything is corrupted with it. Sex. Seek sex. Seek sex. Everything. Sex is everywhere. Why would it be that way? Why 666 and sex? You need to ask yourself that question. I'll answer that in my next upload, but for now, try to see that you cannot figure it out with your mind. That you'll say, well, this could make sense, and that could make sense. It could be this, and it could be that. And you could, 24 hours later, be like, gee, it could be this, and it could be that. You do that with anything you believe. I'll give you a hint, though. What is it that you... But see, when you're hit with all this electromagnetic energy, it throws your energy system out of balance, which can be female out of balance and male out of balance. And maybe understand that if male is out of balance, outward giving energy becomes aggressive, forceful energy. It can be in your actions, striking another individual, venomous words and language. It's an outward aggressive energy. If female is out of balance, then rather than being receiving, you become absorbing, gluttony, shopping excessively, consuming, basically. People that are around you that feel like they suck your energy away from you, that's female energy out of balance. The more out of balance it becomes, the more out of balance male becomes in a person. I'm sorry, let's back up here for a second. This energy has come to hijack the entire human race. Why would it not give you power over other people to manipulate them? That's the whole point. See, people think they're getting powers. Powers to do what? To destroy your own kind. I don't know if there is a clearer, more precise definition of insanity than that. I mean, if you knew what was going on, adult men raping children hard, sorcerers using witchcraft over people and voodoo, where are all these energies being directed? At other people. Am I right or am I wrong? If you're a sorcerer, where's this confidence you have? How hard is it to be able to deduce that they're going to take away all of your freedom when the time's right? That when the time is right to hijack the human race, those that were doing it, that were promised to not be harmed when it happens, to be given a break because they helped. How did they help again? Let's just recap. What were they doing to, quote, help? Oh yeah, destroy the whole human species. What are they? Oh, that's right. They're the human species. What was its agenda again? To give you power to do what?
control and harm and manipulate and destroy the human species. You know, they look at it like, well, I myself am not doing that. They don't understand the collective impact of the whole thing. They don't get it. You should give a standing ovation to this Cancer energy. Really. I mean, it's convinced people to want to destroy their own kind and was able to convince them that they will be spared. Think about that. You should be on your feet applauding the Cancer. Now, I admit, I have a different energy. I can see this, but it's so simple, so easy. I can't believe that it happened. Because it's too obvious. It's too... I mean, I understand. Before I woke up, I had only a foggy idea that something was wrong, but I lived in denial about it, pursuing a career, pleasure, day-to-day living, week-to-week living. But now, looking at it, the irony is this. Before humans were attacked by this energy long ago, they had more... they were multidimensional. They were at peace with creation. Everything was fine. They could do more than the Illuminati members are allowed to do now. Oh, here, let us show you this different frequency range, this different dimension. And they have no idea that that's how humans used to be able to be. So the one that took it away on a long time scale to us and with individual lives, then gives it back to you and you think it's something giving you a gift? It's no different than being a prisoner and being given an hour to walk outside by the prison warden. It's a real mess, and it works. If you don't understand this, right? You're not aware of the consciousness, but you can't. Can you figure it out yourself? With each new year, you have more and more adults raping children, getting worse and worse, abusing them, victimizing them. Forget about what the Illuminati do for their rituals. I'm talking about the common folk doing this and wanting to do this. And people just are so asleep, so under a trance, they just point their finger at them like, you are a bad person. You as an individual are bad. They don't question what is occurring with the race as a whole. And the Satanists, the low-end witchcraft people, low-end Freemasons, think they're getting a gift of knowledge. You get high enough up and then you encounter these beings, right? And the beings are not... Look how easily they manipulated the human race. Humans used to be more mentally active thousands of years ago than they are now.
Oh, no. They don't want you to be able to unify. They just want you to rise up, like chickens with their heads cut off, so that there is chaos or anarchy. Don't think that's possible? Have you ever seen footage of a riot? They want you to rise up. Nobody's solving anything. It's just a bunch of propaganda bullshit about 9/11. People send emails to each other and talk about it all the time, but nobody's doing anything. Exactly. When the right date, day, hour, minute, second, it's going to kick off, and you're going to have anarchy. So that they can bring in foreign troops, most probably China, to, quote, restore order out of chaos and attack the United States. To restore order, of course, and then dissolve the border between Canada and Mexico and bring in your wonderful American Union, loaded with electronic mind control and all of the trimmings. It could very well be that Christianity and a lot of these religions were designed, their very purpose, thinking this many moves ahead, designed to fail. How? Why? Well, if they steal the teachings of Christ and then create this Jesus deity, this Trinity, which isn't what it was, then point their fingers at themselves like they always do, expose the Babylonian symbolism, the satanic symbolism of the religions they created. They could do that in hopes to make you abandon all Christ's teachings as well, do you see? If you don't know that they stole those teachings, then you'll think that they created those teachings. They expose the deity as symbolism, and then everybody will have their big sigh of relief. Oh, we don't have to be good. We don't have to follow any of that. You see, the ultimate last-ditch attempt to discredit Christ. Why? That opens the door for the New World religion of sorcery, or Satanism, for the utopia. It has to be that, because there's no way these people doing what they're doing could have given the metaphors that Christ gave to create some symbolic deity. The two wouldn't go hand in hand. So, it really, from what I've been learning, what I've seen, they stole his teachings to draw people into both Christianity and Satanism. Then they're going to point the finger at the symbolism of Christianity and other religions